This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
Oh my God!
Welcome, everybody, to the DocNJock Wrestling Podcast. This is episode 58. On today's episode, CM Punk's talking about maybe a wrestling return. We're going to get you filled in on that. A whole lot going on with ROH. Of course, we got to review Smackdown. Raw, we're probably not going to waste any time because nobody gave an effort on Raw. It was an absolute shit show. And joining me to discuss that shit show, as always, he's the one. He's the only. He is the Doc, John Macaroon. What's up, cuz? Where did you go dig this one up from?
Oh my God, let me tell you the story. A lot of people were talking about the Monday night game, and Tony Paul came out and tweeted out, and he said, you know what? The Monday night football game was awesome. It was an awesome experience. He said, some of my favorite sports memories are going to being in the front row of WCW way back 20 years ago. And so I looked up the date when he tweeted it out, and I'm like, oh, when was it? He's like late 98. And so he went to the WCW Nitro the day after World War III. And so who won World War III? I was at that show at the Palace, was Kevin Nash. Mm-hmm. And part of the open was Kevin Nash at the event at the Nitro that he went to. And it was Lex Luger and it was Kevin Nash, and he came out to it, and Grand Rapids went apeshit. He marked it by, it was the episode where Goldberg basically did his jackhammer to the Big Show. So I was able to pinpoint the date, so I was kind of looking around for it. It's a little bit hard. I'm an hour into that episode. It's a November 1998 episode of Nitro, so I went back to it. It was great, dude. Nitro back in the 90s was
so
awesome.
Good, right?
Yeah. Lex Luger was in the first match. The crowd was hyped in Grand Rapids. It was great, and so I'm like, oh my God, the NWO Wolfpack. It was great with La Raza. You know, it was great.
WCW did some good wrestling, man.
And they were hyped.
I know everybody shits on WCW.
Yeah.
But it was really good wrestling. I don't know if you ever watched, they used to have it Saturday. I think it was like Saturday
nights,
after,
Saturday night's event, 6 p.m. Yep.
Dude, I would watch that. Me and my brother would watch it.
Man.
It was nuts.
Conan was so underrated too, man. As a hype man, Conan was the shit in the Wolfpack. So, you know, the NWO Wolfpack was a great thing with a great sound, huh?
Yeah, it was great. It was pretty awesome. Hey, did you realize Starrcade took place this weekend?
Totally missed it.
What? I didn't even know it took place.
All right.
Way to promote that, WWE. I mean, basically, it's a gigantic house show, but it's a big house show. It's supposed to be based off of WCW, like we were just talking about. That was their big event. If you remember back, I think it was 97. It was Sting versus Hulk Hogan, Hollywood Hulk Hogan versus Sting, and there was a botched match, but Sting ends up winning the World Championship. I watched that. I bought that on pay-per-view. I was extremely pumped about that. Starrcade now is a WWE monster house show. Nothing big that really came out of it. The one note that came out of it is Bray Wyatt made an unofficial return at this event. He filled in for Braun Strowman, who's recovering from elbow surgery.
Now, here's the thing. You know, I definitely respect tradition. That's why I love the WWE Network. You can go back and watch every single event from WCW. All the Starrcades are available. But what you got to do is, even if you're going to have a great glorified house show, make it in December. Like, Starrcade is equivalent to the year-end, you know, make it one of the best house shows and make it so that it's important. And yeah, like I said, it came and went, and I think for you and I, we're so oversaturated with wrestling right now that we take 3-4 days off of even checking the dirt sheets.
It's true.
And so when you miss it, you're like, oh, damn, there was an event.
Normally, like, the weekend will roll around, and I'll pay attention to nothing. So
exactly.
Then, like, Monday, Tuesday rolls around, I'm like, oh, man, I got to get caught up on everything from the weekend. But you're right. We are oversaturated with it. Something you don't need to saturate yourself with at all.
Bro.
Monday Night Raw was absolutely horrible. I was bitching about it on Twitter, and a lot of our followers, like Adam, who's awesome, totally plugged in. I believe Jobu got in on it, was tweeting towards Dennis Farrell, the network, Big Drew, Ben Raven, tweeting all these guys about how awful Monday Night Raw was. I got an hour in, and I was like, this is like the worst show I think I've ever seen. hour and 45 minutes in, I was like,
What am I watching?
Hell, like they're not even trying out here. It was holy garbage. Like the whole thing. The one thing I will say that is redeeming from this program, and there's not much, it's the fact that Alexa Bliss has been named the female commissioner of Raw. And the reason this is important is because later on, this is going to play a part in a storyline, and it's going to have to do with Baron Corbin. So I'll let you connect the dots on what that means. I'll just foreshadow it. I don't want to blow it up right now, but that's the only thing that's important. She is now the women's commissioner on Raw. I don't. What was your take on this show? I just really felt like nobody put any effort in. Like the writing team, to me, it seemed like, because Vince McMahon's notorious for this. He's has a show laid out. He'll have it laid out a month, a week, 10 days in advance, whatever. He will show up at the arena and he'll be like, scrap it all. We're starting from scratch. So he will tear it all down and then try to rebuild it before the show goes on. Now, if you're a wrestler, mind you, you have to read the lines that are provided to you. You have to read them verbatim. That's why a lot of the promos come off as wonky. They don't seem to fit the character. They come off as a little bit flat. Imagine being a wrestler, being handed this missive and saying, hey, this is how the show's going to go. Here's your lines. Memorize them in 2 hours.
And a funny post came out soon after in which people went to Wikipedia and said that Milwaukee, Wisconsin was the site where wrestling died, based on the 11/26/18 episode of Monday Night Raw.
Dude, it was so bad.
Here's the problem with how the entire thing was put out. It was uninspired. It was basically lacking a lot of star power. When you don't have Braun Strowman, when you don't have a lot of marquee names, this is a perfect indictment as to the failed experiments with Elias, with Finn Balor, with Baron Corbin. And what you've done is you basically put out a bunch of talent in a marquee show that don't have marquee names. And here's the thing, too, with the angles.
Those are those guys all those guys you named. They're all very good. But WWE has sabotaged them and booked them so poorly that nobody cares about Finn Balor anymore. Elias is very shortly going to be a wrestler nobody cares about. Nobody gives a shit about Baron Corbin. Nobody. You know, you have these guys and you've booked them so poorly that nobody cares anymore. And then when you lose your big guns, you lose a Braun Strowman because he's having elbow surgery. You lose a Roman Reigns because he's fighting leukemia. You have a Seth Rollins and you have a Dean Ambrose. And mind you, Dean Ambrose's character is going the way of all other awful WWE heels. He's just becoming less interesting, and he's just becoming a cardboard cutout of what WWE likes to post up as a bad guy. It's uninspired writing, and it's poor booking that totally hurts the talent. You can't get your talent over if you're constantly anchoring them with weights, and you're holding them down, and you're pushing them back. The one thing WWE did good was they realized, and I'm sorry to cut you off, they realized that Becky Lynch wasn't going anywhere. The fans were behind her. And you fans, you let them know. You let them know by voicing your opinion when she'd come out there and she'd cut a promo on you and she would tell you that you were stupid and you're garbage and you're a hot mess. You cheered her. You cheered her because you told WWE, you're wrong. You're wrong and you're booking her wrong. You're doing this the wrong way. You screwed up her character and we're not going to let you take that from us. And now Becky Lynch is the most over wrestler in wrestling right now. Think about that. And this is an athlete who WWE didn't want to give a chance to because Kevin Dunn didn't like her accent, didn't like the way she sounded on the microphone. She cut some of the best goddamn promos you've ever heard.
Hey, I'm talking, don't fucking interrupt me.
That's right, Iron Sheik.
So here's the thing. When you have a dominant heel group, obviously, you then have to have a face group that you believe can actually, defeat the heels. That's why you have these storylines. So Baron Corbin's running amok on Monday Night Raw. Who legitimately is going to go out there and defeat him? Nobody. That's believable.
Nobody.
So the storytelling's weak. The lack of star talent that's believable is horrible. And then you got these angles that really nobody's invested in. And now you got a major pay-per-view that's on the calendar, TLC. And you look at it and you go, wow, without Braun Strowman, without star power, you really look at it, you go, a brand shakeup is so needed. Raw can't put 3 hours on television like that, especially with the quality of football that's been happening each and every Monday night. You can't have that. And it's unfortunate, too, that you have situations that can be awesome. For example, one of the marquee segments on Raw each and every week is the Intercontinental Champion having the Open Challenge. okay? But when you've had the match, Dolph Ziggler versus Seth Rollins a couple times,
17 times, I believe, in a 24-week span.
You don't get the pop that's needed from that segment. And you just look at it and you go, yeah, they're the best on the show. But you look at it and you go, maybe have a surprise talent come up. Just somebody new, refreshing.
Dude,
that can
you
come
have
in.
you have an undercard full of talent. It's called NXT.
Bring
You've
somebody
got
out.
guys like EC3 who are ready.
A one-off.
Right.
Show up and
you did it with Kevin Owens. You could do it with EC3. You could do it with Adam Cole, baby.
Yeah.
You could do it with anybody.
Exactly, and they can have a great match, and they can get some rub and go back to NXT and maybe get closer to a call-up. Just a test match to say, hey, who's the best in NXT? Let's see how he could do on the big stage, short notice. Let's see what he can do against the Seth Rollins. Matches like that would bring some intrigue, and that would have blown up the internet.
Velveteen Dream could have showed
Yeah.
up doing a Hulk Hogan impersonation again, and the crowd would have lost their shit. They'd have went bonkers. The WWE universe is smarter than WWE gives it credit for. They really are.
And so sometimes you do need some, pizzazz. You need something to light a match under Monday Night Raw. It was just a disappointing all the way around. Like I said, we're not giving it more than 5 minutes is not worth it. It was a garbage show, and they got to do better. The marquee show can't have bullshit shows like that ever again. And you even got so angry, you tweeted and said, damn, you wasted my time. Thanks, WWE, for putting on such a garbage show.
Mm-hmm.
And then you look at it, and you just go the first 20 minutes of SmackDown, just the simple one part where the Usos come out from the penitentiary was better than the entire 3 hours. When they are backstage with the lighting and you're like, welcome to the Uso penitentiary, I go, damn, that was fucking cool.
It was good.
That was great.
Right. You got invested.
That was cool.
You got invested.
Even though it was the Usos versus the Bar, a match we've seen kind of a little bit as well, that was cool.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just a situation in which you can't have it be that drastic.
It's so weird right now because Raw is definitely the B show. It gets all the spotlight. It gets all the time. SmackDown, on the other hand, is the A show. And SmackDown has been great week in, week out now. And speaking of SmackDown, we opened up with the Man and Paige in the ring. The Man cuts a great promo, calls out Charlotte. They end up cutting heel promos on each other.
It was great.
It was awesome. I felt like Charlotte got the better of Becky up until the TLC match was announced. And Becky, you had to listen to it. Becky got this simple little dig in there about how Charlotte couldn't get her on the table at Evolution.
Mm-hmm.
It was awesome. And at that moment, I felt like she won the battle of words.
Yes.
It was totally great. The entire women's division, though, comes down. And it starts with the heel group. They demand a shot at the women's championship. The faces then come out. And in the end, it's announced that we're going to have a battle royal. The winner will get inserted into the TLC match, making it a three-way. I did not like this.
Me neither.
Okay, I don't need to see a three-way when I've got the best female wrestler and I've got the other best female wrestler on the planet right now. I don't need to see a extra person inserted. The one reason I can see this being done, they're going to take the title off Becky. She's going to go to the Royal Rumble. She's going to win the Women's Royal Rumble. She will then be 30th, or she will, how's this going to work? She's going to end up being 30th at the Royal Rumble. So then she will win the Royal Rumble. Anyways, I see them taking the title off of her. This is a way for Charlotte to not pin Becky. It's a way to protect Becky, which I think is stupid.
Exactly, especially when you have a rivalry that people could see evolve and you could have a classic matchup. Prior to the women interrupting, I thought, oh man, TLC, first ever Charlotte versus the Man. Oh man, it was going to be a great match. Then they took a little bit of the luster out, and you're exactly right. It's a way to it's a way to again extend a storyline by interjecting somebody else, and you can have a rivalry with the Man and Charlotte, maybe without the title involved.
Exactly. The Usos end up beating the Bar in what was a very good match. Again,
Great match.
something that you really didn't want to see again, but you're happy you seen it. It wasn't a horrible match. It was very, very good. Nothing new really came out of it, though. You had a pretty cool moment with the celebration of Jeff Hardy's 20th anniversary.
Been that long. Wow,
yeah.
man, right?
This was absolutely awesome. WWE did a very good job
When
with
they
this.
introed it at first, before they announced it was going to be a 20-year anniversary, I was like, oh, dude, he's retiring.
I thought so, too.
Yeah, I was like,
I
oh,
thought
it's
so,
done.
too.
But it was a great retrospective, and when you realize what Jeff Hardy has done, man, he's done a lot in the wrestling industry. 20 years of putting your body through it. I could imagine that, these wrestlers, maybe around the time of 37, 38, they got to start demanding lesser schedules. Because I was thinking about it prior to recording today. If you're AJ Styles, you probably could negotiate just taking off Wednesday, Thursday, Friday every single week.
Yeah.
And just, instead of just having one day off a week, dude, I don't want to work Wednesday. I don't want to work Thursday. I don't want to work Friday. I'm on the road Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. I can do that 3, 4, instead of one. 3 days off every single, and I think you can get another 5, 6 years out of AJ Styles if
you could preserve their career
that much longer, especially with the talent and the matches that you could have. And it was great to see AJ Styles. Now, a point I want to clarify that some people have talked about, because obviously I'm invested in AJ Styles. Some people are saying that his contract ends in December, but I think the official contract ends the day after WrestleMania. So there's a chance that they could negotiate all the way up until the point when it's past WrestleMania. So he's got a contract, I think, that's going to end around April. So you will see AJ Styles in WrestleMania. Yeah, I think look into it a little bit deeper.
All the information, it's in December. Yeah.
But I think he's going to be invested in storylines, and I do think it's getting closer to him signing, because time off is all he needs, dude. You keep that guy happy, because if anybody with a brain comes in and goes, dude, we got one of the biggest stars in the world. We want to keep him here. We don't want him showing up at New Japan.
Yep.
He's hot. He's hot right now, and you can get more out of him. 2 more years, 3 more years. I think they should be able to settle by April.
When it comes down to it, it's just so he doesn't have to do a couple house shows.
Yeah,
I mean, you're gonna lose a guy over some house shows.
Exactly.
Come on, man. What are you talking about here?
And it's a chance to give guys like EC3 and younger guys, the house shows should be worked by the young cats.
Yep.
The older guys should maybe do, and it makes it more special. Like, hey, AJ Styles is going to do a house show once a week. Boom, you want to go see it,
Absolutely. While this celebration of Jeff Hardy's 20th anniversary was going on, Samoa Joe came out. And Samoa Joe cut a really good shoot promo on Jeff Hardy and his addiction problem, and really laid into him. So this helped set up the next storyline for Jeff Hardy and for Samoa Joe. Good to see these guys have something going on. A lot of times, guys like this just get lost in creative because creative has botched their booking so poorly. So these guys are going to have an extended ongoing feud. I'm interested to see what happens here. Kofi takes on The Miz in an okay match. Kofi gets the win with some help from Big E and Xavier Woods. They caused a little bit of a distraction on the outside of the ring, and they prevented Miz from cheating. In the end, this cost The Miz a victory. It was an okay match, nothing special. This moves us to our main event, which was that women's battle royal that was set up in the very, very beginning of the show. So this was... It was good at points. It was bad at points. It felt really rushed because it gave 9 women the chance to get in a ring and do something for about 13 minutes.
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it was like, okay, cool, here, everybody going. It really felt like their introductions to get everybody in the ring were just as long as the match. It was nuts. In the end, Sonya Deville and Asuka were challenging for the final spot to be inserted into that TLC match as the third member. Again, how we got there, a little bit messy, especially with Mandy Rose and Naomi. They botched about 4 spots back to back to back. It was really, really bad to watch it. In the end, Asuka wins with a knee to Deville's face. They were both on the outside on the ring apron. I thought this was the right move. Asuka was really, really over for some reason or another this night. She got a standing ovation from the crowd when she first came out in that opening segment. It was really weird to see Asuka this over, because this is a character that has been buried. Her character has been buried. She's doing like tag team weird stuff with Naomi right now, and she's almost been forgotten about. This is a character who came onto the scene as the undefeated. She was a monster in NXT. You couldn't take her down until Charlotte beat her for no good reason, and then she got lost in the shuffle. So this was pretty cool. This is a nice way to revive some life into a name, and somebody who did a lot of great things in NXT and then kind of got lost in the shuffle. Did you think this was the right choice, or did you want somebody else to get put over here?
Before we talk about the main event, remember, AJ Styles returned and cut a nice promo.
You thought it was a good promo?
Oh, dude, because I missed him. Of course it was a good promo.
I didn't think it was a good promo. I totally skipped over it because I didn't think it was a good promo. I felt like he got lost with what he was talking about.
Really?
Yeah. Like, again, remember how Daniel Bryan's last week just kind of rambled and rambled? Mm-hmm. I felt like parts of his were the same way. He just kind of got talking in circles.
Okay.
You know how sometimes I'll get so worked up and I'll just start talking in circles and I start repeating stuff, and I'm just like, you're just like, shut up.
I'll ask you this.
That's what I felt like.
Yeah, we can disagree on the promo because, I'm biased. I think anything AJ Styles does is great.
He comes out and mushroom stamps your cheek. You're like, oh, thanks, AJ Styles.
Are you okay with a 5-month feud leading up to WrestleMania maybe with AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan, if they can kind of have a longer extended feud? You okay with it?
Yeah, I'm totally cool with it, but I need some physical interaction.
Yeah,
I can't just have You cut a promo this week. You cut a promo this week.
I thought it was
a
a great backhanded slap at Brock Lesnar by saying, "Look, Daniel Bryan's not here. He's kind of acting like how the Raw Universal Champion acts, but we don't do that here." And so I thought it was great.
Yes.
Now, going back to Asuka,
that was like the one thing that was awesome about it.
Noteworthy. Now, going back to Asuka, I felt like the right person won it because she's the most over. She's the most talented. I think it's another chance now to reset her and to have good matches and things like that. And it's an opportunity for Asuka to go on to have an opportunity in that matchup to do some physical things. And I think she can get down and dirty, and I think she'll definitely live up to the hype. And if you put the belt on her or Charlotte or the man, any one of those winners will be believable. And by and large, I think everybody's expecting a great match. I am too. I think it's one of the marquee matches at TLC outside of AJ Styles, outside of what could happen in some of the other TLC matches. I'm down and I'm invested. Obviously, having a 3-person women's match is okay. It's not the best given the participants, but Asuka getting a push is never going to be, looked upon negatively from me. I'm okay with it.
Yeah, and I think she's the right person because, again, like you said, she's somebody who can go with both of them, right? Becky Lynch and Charlotte are 1A, 1B. I don't care how you cut it. 1A, 1B in the women's division right now. In WWE, they are the 2 best. Asuka is one who can go, and she can go toe-to-toe with those guys, and she can hang with them. You don't have to worry about her botching spots. I talked about Mandy Rose and Naomi botching spot after spot after spot after spot in what literally was a 35-second span of time. They botched 3 and 4 spots right back to back to back to back. It was nuts. So you can trust Asuka can go in the ring and she can hang with these 2. She's not going to muck it up. She's not going to foul it up. I don't like it being a 3-way, but I think she's the right choice, taking the best of a bad situation. Look, the verdict, it's SmackDown. Don't waste your time with anything with Raw.
By and large, no doubt about it.
It wasn't worth it. It wasn't worth it. You want some news and notes?
Tell me, though, before news and notes, if you only had 10 minutes, if you're busy, and you only have an opportunity to watch one match or one segment, what's Jock's match of the week?
I would tell you to watch the opening. I thought the opening with the jousting and the dueling and the back and forth between Becky and Charlotte, I thought that was exceptional. If you have 10 minutes and you want to see something cool, watch that, and then maybe fast forward and watch like the last 3 minutes of that main event. But yeah, the opening was probably the best thing on SmackDown.
And real quickly here, if you're a subscriber to the WWE Network, just kind of peek into some WCW Nitros. It was very entertaining. Definitely watched World War III, and I think that was an event that was really cool that Kevin Nash won. And so look around 1998, November. Look at some old Nitros. It's really fun, man.
It's always cool to go back and watch old shows.
Yeah.
And just remember when you were a kid, you're like, oh man, I remember watching this.
Yeah.
I remember the first time Goldust came out.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, this guy is so weird.
The network's cool.
Blew my mind, And you go back and you watch it now and you're like, holy shit.
Yeah, definitely to see Lex Luger in his prime and the torture rack and to see Disco Fever, Disco Inferno.
Torture rack.
Dude, it was great, dude. And
was Psychosis in any of those matches?
Like I said, I'm only an hour into it,
Okay.
so I'll definitely give it
the
more.
The cruiserweights usually got the middle hour.
Yeah, exactly. So Nitro was good. It had some great production.
You could see some
time.
early Chris Jericho.
So good stuff there from the network. All right, hit me with this week's news and notes.
All right, so real short news and notes. Not a whole lot going on right now. CM Punk has come out and he said he would listen to the Young Bucks or Cody about coming back to wrestle on a recent interview with MMA Fighting's Mark Ramanati. Did I say that name right? I hope I did. Kari Sane. She's dealing with hand, foot, and mouth disease. I don't know how she got this. It seems like it's just a viral infection. Wrestlers travel a lot. They spend a lot of close proximity with each other, so I'm assuming somebody had it and she ended up getting it. Sounds like the guys in ROH, the staples like Cody, the majority of what is the elite now, Silas Young, Frankie Kazarian, and Christopher Daniels, sounds like they're all going to be going away from the promotion. Sounds like they're all done with the promotion when their contracts expire later this year and early next year. WWE is taking a look at most of these guys and are making offers to them. However, it does sound like a lot of these guys are just going to go and wrestle with New Japan. So don't be surprised if you see some of the ROH guys end up over at New Japan, and don't be surprised if WWE poaches 1, 2, maybe 5 of these guys, especially the guys in the elite. It's really interesting to see what's going to happen with those guys. Cody has already said, I'm not going back to WWE. I'm just not doing it. He's got his own plans, wants to do his own thing. So just keep an eye on what's going on with ROH right now. They just sat there and brought in Punishment Martinez. You guys will be seeing him in NXT here very shortly. He's a big dude. Like when I see he's a big dude, he's like 6'3", 6'4", maybe a little bit bigger than that. Strong. He can move quick. Like for a big guy his size, he can get up and down and move all around the ring. It's really amazing to watch him work. He's come a long way. I remember watching some of his early matches being like, oh, this guy looks like he's going to be a talent. And sure enough, he is. Now he's with WWE, so it'd be interesting to see what they do with him.
Okay, before we get out of here, quick Doc and Jock stock watch. What do you think about Asuka?
Right now, after that match, up. Before this match, on Tuesday, I would say down.
Finn Balor.
Down? Just because how do you go from being the very first Universal Champion to whatever you're doing now? I mean, like, honestly, what are you doing now?
Elias.
Up.
What do you see for him in terms of going forward? Because that's a guy that's over. He's got a lot of potential, but stuck in the mid card. How?
Yeah.
I don't get it.
I think he becomes an upper mid card guy. He'll probably remain there because I don't see WWE putting him over on Brock. I don't see WWE putting him over on Braun. I don't see WWE putting him over on maybe Seth. They could have really good matches. Those two could. Seth has good matches with everybody though. Upper mid card is where I see him right now. If he does a really good job there, he might get a title. And by a title, I mean a WWE Championship belt, maybe Universal Championship belt. But I don't know. I need to see more. His in-ring is getting better. It's just not at the pace that I would hope it would be, you know?
Okay. And then one final one, because an interesting character, one that I think, obviously involved in a lot of Raw angles, Baron Corbin. Because I think he's definitely being promoted as a heel, but I just think that right now, not the hottest heel. You know what I mean?
Well, it's hard to have a hot heel or a hot heel stable when you've got nobody to vanquish the stable.
Right?
Like there's nobody to beat them because we just threw 3 and 4 heels together and we're like, here, you guys are now a team. And these guys are just kind of out there running around. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what the storyline is. You took out Braun Strowman, and he was the guy that everybody was going after, and now we're just kind of stuck here. I want to say it's up because it definitely isn't down, and he's not staying in the middle. They have plans for him. I just don't know what the hell the plans are.
Creative just has to do a better job of elevating the mid-card guys. Just go back and look at the Survivor Series Raw team. You had a situation in which 5 guys could be elevated to main event status, but they're not. They're being held back. So they got to do a much better job, and I think you and I agree that Raw could be better if you just elevated the people that are actually on the show.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
Want to thank the sponsors of this show, the Breaking Down the Ring podcast, the Wrestling Perspective podcast with Dennis Farrell. Breaking Down the Ring podcast airs live every Wednesday, 9:15 on the Podcast Detroit app. You can find them on all their social media platforms at BDRcast. Dennis Farrell also does a great wrestling podcast with Petey Williams of Impact Wrestling. Go follow Dennis at Dennis77Farrell. Go follow the Wrestling Perspective Podcast by going to their website, WrestlingPerspectivePodcast.com. Dennis and the crew does a great job. Mikey and the Breaking Down the Ring podcast, great supporters of our network, and I enjoy all the interactions that we're having with the growing Metro Detroit wrestling community. We greatly appreciate it. If there's a show going on, feel free, message us on our Twitter page at Detroit Podcast. Message Adam at AdamRSTROZ. Thanks to everybody that supports the project. We greatly appreciate it. See everybody next Friday when the next Doc and Jock podcast comes to you.